It is frustrating to know that your concerns as gamers won't be listened, but let's not use that fact to come to the wrong conclusion. We told Volition to stop what they're doing and fix Saints Row Reboot. Ooh, you cannot fix that one. That requires a massive overhaul of pretty much every aspect. The same goes to the other games you mentioned. Player feedback to games will fall on deaf ears. That's not surprising. What is surprising is when you think this has everything to do with the recent layoffs. Losing jobs sucks, but intentionally designing games to be politically motivated was gonna cost them their jobs eventually. Yeah, no. The developers are not the ones who intend to make them. They can't just publish those games unless the executives, the suits, and the publishers are okay with it and, pay them to develop those games. In a corporation, layers of management exist, and they are a massive creativity hurdle that prevents good ideas to ever flourish, as risk-averse investors and managers reject those ideas, even if it really is the developer's genuine creativity and passion that led to the creation of trash. The executives and the publishers paid those developers to make those games. They have those games be published and sold at full price. They pay these developers to make trash, but they're not laid off, aren't they? Those games wouldn't be in the market if it weren't for them publishing it. You wouldn't know the game sucks unless you or someone else buy it and they say it sucked. You can't buy them unless these people put them in the market. And yet, only the developers got laid off, but not the clueless publishers, executives, and investors that think investing on trash like this and selling trash like this are okay. What I'm saying is, you don't cut off the limbs to take down a zombie. Necromorphs, yes, but we're dealing with zombies here, and the game industry has been doing nothing but cutting off limbs while keeping their heads. The solution for this should be pretty obvious to everyone. Some gamers really hate game developers to an unhealthy degree. This thread started by talking about Highguard and how that game has ex-Titanfall devs and Tencent backing the project. They still couldn't make money. Yeah, that game was a failure, but what you guys miss about Highguard is that the game is functional. It plays, it runs, the animations are there. You press a button, the game does the action bound to that button. The characters look like characters. Those things require developers to work. Those ex-Titanfall devs absolutely developed those games. What doesn't work about Highguard is the gameplay structure that is bland, uninteresting, and is desperately chasing the latest trends while making changes thanks to demands from executives. That is not up to the individual developers that animate the characters and make sure the buttons do stuff. That is up to the directors and the managers that decide the mechanics and the overall direction. This is like blaming the animators for a superhero film being underwhelming or crap. They're not to blame for that. They had to animate it regardless because that's their job. They got paid for that. Ultimately, it's the director that is to blame, that approves the script. It's the corporation publishing the film that is to blame, that approves it. That's a pretty reasonable conclusion to me, but these people chose to put a tinfoil hat and blame the leftists instead. I don't even like them, but at least blame them for things they actually did wrong. Games made today take longer to make, run worse, look worse, cost more, are less fun, are made by more people, and they just freaking suck. Do you seriously think that the thousands of people that got laid off are to blame for all that? Also, games costing more is not on the developers. That's for the suits, the directors, and the executives to think about. Those game developers don't exactly develop trash for free. Someone is definitely paying them for it, and they're more responsible for games sucking. Remind me again, how many layers of management? I love it when people reject facts with their own conspiracy theory. It makes them sound incredibly unhinged. There's no conspiracy that evil corporations are conspiring to dump billions into making games crappy on purpose. Wow, this person seriously thinks that executives ruining gaming is a conspiracy. Dude, it's way worse than that. They're not making crappy games on purpose. They're making games that they think are gonna make them money, except the games suck because they genuinely don't know what makes them good. How many layers of management again? They are not the ones responsible for the writing being bad, running poorly, or looking ugly as sin, or being boring. Wrong. They absolutely are. They're the ones that approve the writing, the performance, the ugliness, everything. They're the ones that pay these developers to make games that bad because they are clueless to what makes a game good. Developers do not have the authority to release games without the approval of the publishers or the executives. McDonald's employees do not have authority to what's being served in the menu. They just need to make it and serve it the best that they can. This thread then goes on a tangent about how the AAA industry has been infested with communists who hate you, hate video games, and hate themselves. That right there is what I call a conspiracy. All those thousands of developers that got laid off, are you calling them communist freaks now? All of them? Every single one of them? There are plenty of non-communists out there that got laid off and their lives ruined, but I guess you don't care about those. You know what I think? I think these people are actually defending the suits by blaming something else entirely. It's not Todd Howard that led to Starfield being that underwhelming and mediocre. It's the leftists and communists. You can stay delusional and blame the leftists all you want, but I still blame the guy that's telling sweet little lies to not just the players, but also the developers. This person went on tangent about how gaming has been taken over by leftists and communists, and that those evil suits conspiring to dump billions taking over gaming and making them crappy is just nothing but conspiracy. Completely dismissing a conspiracy with an actual conspiracy. And it all come to this conclusion. The layoffs don't go far enough. Fire them all. Shut their studios down. You know what? You're right. The layoffs don't go far enough. They should go as far as the executives at the top too. Todd Howard should be fired. Andrew Wilson should be fired. But they didn't get axed off. They stayed there. Only Xbox so far got their head changed. At least they acknowledged that their management sucked. Again, I don't see any blame being put on the suits here. If anything, I see a dismissal. And I think that's the primary purpose here that I see with a lot of these activists online. They're saying that leftists and communists are the ones ruining the industry, but not the suits at the top, not the CEO spending billions in garbage. That's just some leftist propaganda. No, that's the truth. And the more you say all this, the more you drive people away from the truth so that they can all subscribe to your politics. That's what this is all about. We're all expected to be super sad. I don't, actually. Those developers being laid off is way less concerning than me being laid off and having to feed my family. I honestly couldn't care less about those developers, but what I do care about are the people who do not understand how corporations work. What I do care about are the people spreading wild and false conspiracies that point the fingers to the wrong people. Even if all those developers are commies, fascists, Nazis, or Satanists, it still doesn't change the fact that they get paid by the suits to make those crap games. I care about facts and reality, not tinfoil hat falsehoods and insanity. Apparently, this meme sums up the gaming layoffs really well. Is it though? Great news, chud losers! The main character is gonna be trans! This game is gonna be gayer than ever! Name me one game that turned out this way. Just one? Dragon Age the Veilguard? Yeah, that game sucks. Overall, it has nothing to do with the characters being part of the rainbow flag. They could have been all straight and it would have still sucked. Bummer, they're killing another IP. I was looking forward to that one. Which IP that got killed this way again? Which one from Xbox? Wolfenstein? Yeah, Youngblood is absolute garbage. I played that absolute piece of trash, and I can assure you that the story or the characters are the least garbage thing out of the whole game. Yes, the least garbage. And they're already trash too. So no, this layoff drama is not summed up by this meme. This shows that you hate leftists and progressives and blame them for the decline of gaming. That is not the truth at all. The suits are the ones making those decisions, not the game developers. And if you think this way, you are too brain-rotted in politics discourse. You are not helping gaming in any way, shape, or form. You're just a participant in the culture war trying to achieve a victory towards your sworn enemies without actually making media, actually good. I talk about what's real and what's factual because the truth will show you what's actually wrong so that we can fix it. You are just whining about leftists so that you can recruit more people to join your culture war. You can go ahead and fight that culture war all you like, but I want to talk about facts and reality. And if you don't like that, too bad. I'm going to keep on doing that. If you do, then I'm glad that you watch and listen. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.